Welcome to the Nine Realms, where a cultivator's worth is measured by their demonic beast. The greatest warriors command legendary beasts of immense power, while the less fortunate are stuck with far more ordinary companions. A mentor warns our protagonist, Lin Gujing, that without a beast, he'll fail tomorrow's test. With his future hanging by a thread, he considers his last resort. His only hope rests on summoning the absolute lowest-ranked beast he can find, and so he's reduced to begging a spider, promising it a daily feast. Of course, every protagonist needs a bully, and his just arrived on schedule. Our boy, Lin Gujing, puts on a brave face greeting his tormentor. The calm reply only serves to infuriate the arrogant young master. The bully screams that this sacred ground is for the gifted, not for rootless waste. His companion, Wang Xiao, reminds him of the test, mocking Lin Gujing's inevitable failure. The entire group laughs, already celebrating Lin Gujing's expulsion from the academy. But their mockery is cut short by a face full of something sticky. Lin Gujing smiles innocently, offering the gift of a jade bee nest he found. Covered in the mess, the young master can only choke out Lin Gujing's name in pure rage. Humiliated, he orders his lackeys to attack, and they charge without hesitation. His followers summon their own demonic beasts, two vicious glowing hounds. Unfazed, Lin Gujing reaches into his robes, pulling out a strange talisman. He tosses the paper charm directly at the charging beasts, a new plan already in motion. The paper charms ignite, transforming into fiery birds that soar toward the hounds. They detonate in a massive explosion, engulfing the path in smoke and fire. Lin Gujing smirks, revealing he came prepared with explosive talismans. But through the flames, the demonic hounds charge, completely unharmed. His confident grin instantly vanishes, replaced by pure, unadulterated shock. With his brilliant plan up in smoke, our boy does the only logical thing. He runs. He makes a desperate leap for a nearby tree, scrambling for higher ground. The beasts lunge just below him, their fangs snapping at empty air. Trapped on a branch, Lin Gujing watches the hounds circling hungrily below. But as he looks down, his attention is drawn to something on the tree itself. His eyes lock onto a massive, spectral serpent coiled around the trunk. Before he can react, its tail lashes out, shattering his foothold. Lin Gujing is sent hurtling from the branch, thrown from the frying pan into the fire. He tumbles uncontrollably through the air, a helpless ragdoll against the rocks. He crashes near the entrance of a small cave, his only hope for shelter. His pursuers arrive on the cliff above, watching him disappear into the darkness. One of the lackeys eagerly volunteers to go in and finish the job. But the cave answers with a furious, buzzing swarm of its own. The lackeys panic, recognizing the deadly swarm of jade bees. Their leader, however, just scoffs, apparently having a talisman for every occasion. The young master unleashes a powerful fire art, engulfing the cave entrance. The entire swarm is reduced to ash, earning him praise for his advanced techniques. Their leader, Jin, reminds them this realm is far more dangerous than it seems. He orders his men to leave Lin Gujing to his fate and never speak of this. Confident their rival is finished, the group finally departs from the cliff's edge. From the safety of the cave, Lin Gujing watches his tormentors disappear. He lets out a quiet sigh, the immediate danger having finally passed. He takes a moment to check his injuries, a painful reminder of his rough fall. But his brief respite is broken as a small object suddenly flies past him. A strange sound echoes from deeper within, drawing his gaze into the darkness. He peers into the darkness, discovering an ornate mirror on the cave floor. Curious, he reaches for the strange object, his bloodied hand hovering above it. The moment his blood touches the surface, the mirror erupts in a violent crimson light. From the swirling energy, a pale, clawed hand emerges, a voice echoing from within. A figure materializes from the light, a demonic woman awakened from her slumber. She stretches languidly, her form wreathed in an aura of ancient power. Her eyes flutter open, revealing a weariness that spans countless ages. She floats before him, a hunger now burning in her gaze. The demonic being turns to Lin Gujing, asking if he is her long-awaited sacrifice. She scoffs at his meager appearance, but decides he'll make a decent appetizer anyway. She lunges forward, a blur of red and black intent on her meal. But her attack falters as a wave of dizziness washes over her. She stumbles forward, losing her balance and falling toward him. The ancient demon collapses with a thud right at his feet. Lin Gujing is left stunned as the demoness passes out in his lap. He's completely flustered, wondering if this is some new, very confusing demonic trick. Deciding not to stick around for the answer, he plans his quiet escape. He carefully tries to move her, begging the universe that she stays asleep. But just as he moves, her pointed ears suddenly begin to twitch. His eyes lock onto them, realizing she's not just a demon, but a spiritual beast. He recalls reading about powerful demons being sealed away in ancient chronicles. The full weight of his discovery crashes down on him in a wave of panic. But his terror quickly gives way to a much more opportunistic thought. He realizes her long imprisonment has left her incredibly weak and vulnerable. His conscience briefly argues against taking advantage of her in this state. But the fear of failing his exam is a far more immediate threat than being eaten. After a brief, very dramatic internal debate, his desperation wins out. He begins the ritual, weaving the hand signs for a blood contract. With his own blood, he intends to bind their souls together in a pact. The crimson drop falls, about to seal his fate with a being of unknown power. The ritual is complete, but the cave falls deathly silent. Lin Gujing breaks down, convinced he's too weak to even bind a sleeping demon. But in the darkness, a pair of ancient eyes suddenly snaps open. The demoness awakens, her body wreathed in the crimson energy of the pact. She rises into the air, her power now linked directly to his own life force. The pact's backlash rips through him, a brutal price for his ambition. Her eyes burn with a terrifying newfound power. Her true form is revealed as 9 massive tails erupt from her back. A look of pure, unadulterated fury is etched across her face. And Lin Gujing realizes he hasn't summoned a beast, but unleashed a catastrophe. But her apocalyptic rage is tempered by a strange, unfamiliar sensation. She clutches her head, trying to understand the new connection forced upon her. The horrifying truth dawns on her, and she demands to know what he did. Lin Gujing throws his hands up, desperately trying to explain his way out of this. She grabs him by the robes, enraged that a mere mortal dared to bind her. With a furious scream, she unleashes a devastating attack with one of her tails. The blow sends him flying, the force of the impact rattling his entire body. But the attack backfires, as the pact reflects the damage right back onto her. He realizes the contract's loophole. If he dies, she suffers the consequences. But she doesn't care, her pride refusing to be chained to a lowly human. Choked and cornered, Lin Gujing desperately proposes a partnership. The demoness considers his offer, aware of her own weakened state. But her ancient pride demands she test this mortal's worth first. She lunges forward, her power surging directly into his body. It's not an attack, but a deep, invasive examination of his soul. She finds his spiritual meridians are laughably weak with no cultivation at all. Yet as she probes deeper, she discovers something that defies all logic. The ancient demoness recoils, completely stunned by what she's found. Hidden within him is a legendary treasure, a heavenly spirit root. And just like that, our boy upgrades from annoyance to valuable asset. She seethes with the rage of her 1,000-year imprisonment. But his hidden potential is enough to finally sway her decision. She agrees to the pact, but not without laying down her own terms. Her first condition is a nightly offering of his blood to restore her power. Lin Gujing, desperate as ever, agrees without a second thought. She leans in close, ready to reveal her second demand, only to admit she hasn't actually thought of any others yet. He doesn't care about the conditions, only the chance to cultivate. The ancient demoness seems genuinely puzzled by his mortal ambition, but Lin Gujing proudly declares his dream to become a golden immortal. With their pact sealed, Lin Gujing cheerfully introduces himself. The ancient demoness seems to consider his question for a moment. She introduces herself as Xiao Shen, a fox demon, ready for their new partnership. Meanwhile, back at the academy, a ceremonial bell rings out. The day of the aptitude assessment, the test Lin Gujing feared, has finally arrived. An academy teacher named Yan Ke officially begins the proceedings. He instructs the students to infuse the heavenly spirit bell with their power. And of course, the arrogant young master Jin Shin volunteers to go first. From a balcony above, the academy's dean and teachers observe the test. One of the teachers, Jin Changming, proudly praises the young prodigy. Jin Shin steps forward, brimming with an arrogant confidence. He summons his guardian spirit, a massive spectral rhinoceros. The other students murmur in envy, noting his powerful bloodline. The teacher instructs him to begin, and Jin Shin approaches the heavenly spirit bell. With a smug grin, he prepares to show everyone his true strength. His touch illuminates the bell, revealing he's reached the late foundation stage. The crowd erupts in praise, calling him a genius for his rapid progress. But Jinshin isn't finished. He signals for his beast to attack. The spectral rhino lowers its head, preparing to charge the bell. It smashes its horn into the artifact with devastating force. The bell confirms his beast possesses a superior ancient bloodline. From the balcony, a teacher named Shang Feng praises Jin's talent. Teacher Jin agrees, entrusting the prodigy's future to his colleague. Shang Feng humbly accepts the responsibility of guiding the young genius. The next student steps up, revealing an excellent beast bloodline of her own. As the tests continue, one student looks around expectantly. She wonders aloud why Lin Gujing is still missing from the assessment. A smooth voice from behind suddenly asks if she was looking for someone. But it's not Lin Gujing, just a very confident guy with a cat. He introduces himself as Zhou Yichen, mistaking her concern for, well, him. His guardian spirit, a Pixiu, proves that cuteness is a valid power. But the girl he's addressing is clearly not impressed by his charms. Unbothered, Zhou Yichen plays to his adoring crowd of fans. He then singles out the girl, calling her Yurong with a confident wink. A classmate teases her, but she scoffs at the narcissistic display. He presses further, asking who she's actually interested in. Before she can answer, a hand suddenly pulls her back from the conversation. It's Lin Gujing, who has finally arrived with Xiaoshen in tow. Yurong is relieved but quickly reminds him what's at stake today. Her stern warning, however, is completely undermined by her flustered expression. Yurong immediately confronts him, demanding to know who the woman is. Lin Gujing stammers, completely at a loss for how to explain the situation. But Xiaoshen happily takes control, declaring herself his guardian spirit. Yurong erupts in a jealous rage, ordering the demoness to unhand him. She accuses Lin Gujing of hiring an actress to fake being his spirit. She insists the cheap costume won't fool the teachers or the artifact. But her main complaint seems to be how close he's getting to his fake spirit. Elsewhere, another student's dreams are crushed by an unimpressed Belle and a very ordinary pig. He's dragged away screaming that the bell must be broken, not his precious companion. From above, the teachers explain the bell only works for beasts bound by a blood contract. The teacher Yan Kei makes a final call for any students who haven't been tested. A single hand rises from the crowd as Lin Gujing announces his arrival. He steps forward with Xiaoshen, making an entrance that turns every head. Jinshin's followers immediately start mocking him for showing up with a girl instead of a beast. Xiaoshen casually asks if she can eat the hecklers, but Lin Gujing reminds her of their deal. He respectfully addresses the teacher, formally declaring his intent to take the assessment. But Master Yan looks right past him, pointedly asking where his guardian spirit is. Lin Gujing proudly presents Xiaoshen, introducing her as his fox demon spirit. The teacher is completely stunned, unable to believe a human-like spirit is even possible. But Lin Gujing just smirks, ready to prove that the impossible is now his reality. The teacher gestures for him to proceed, his expression a mixture of doubt and curiosity. Lin Gujing knows his entire future as a cultivator hangs on this single moment. He places his hand on the heavenly spirit bell, channeling what little power he has. He grits his teeth, pouring every ounce of his will into the ancient artifact. The bell reveals his power level, the absolute lowest rank of early chi refining. But Xiaoshen just smirks, reminding him that her turn is next. She steps forward, tapping the bell with a single finger wreathed in demonic energy. The artifact explodes with crimson light, sending a shockwave across the courtyard. It reveals her true nature, a primordial bloodline of immense ancient power. And with that stunning display, the qualification assessment officially comes to an end. With the assessment over, the students begin their first lesson with instructor Hua Molan. She explains that a sincere heart is the key to forging an unbreakable bond. But her lesson takes a darker turn as she waters a small, unassuming plant. It explodes into a monstrous, carnivorous plant, a terrifying object lesson. The ancient demoness, of course, plays the part of a damsel in distress. He awkwardly reassures her, drawing an unimpressed stare from Yurong nearby. She lets out a heavy sigh, completely fed up with their public display. Xiaoshen leans in, reminding him it's time for her daily offering of his blood. Elsewhere in the class, another student is absolutely seething at their behavior. Finally snapping, she slams her brush down and throws it, appointing herself the classroom police. The self-appointed classroom cop is identified as Chen Yurong. Her outburst earns a stone-cold glare from instructor Hua Molan. Yurong is promptly punished for disrupting the class, sent to recite the rules. Later, Xiaoshen complains about the tedious lecture. But she admits that after 3,000 years alone, even this is better than silence. She then reminds Lin Gujing that it's time for her daily offering. Their moment is shattered by the furious arrival of Yurong. She confronts Lin Gujing, warning him of the danger of a humanoid spirit. Xiaoshen happily fans the flames, detailing how close she and her master will be. Lin Gujing tries to reason with her, explaining that the academy has already accepted Xiaoshen. But his reasoning falls on deaf ears as Yurong throws a full-blown tantrum. With a determined glare, she reveals her one and only solution: a formal letter. She hurls the envelope forward with the grace of a seasoned warrior. Lin Gujing catches it effortlessly, completely baffled by her dramatic display. She officially challenges him to a duel to settle their dispute once and for all. Lin Gujing face palms, realizing she's invoking an official academy rule for conflict resolution. But Xiaoshen sees an opportunity, clarifying that the loser must obey the winner's command. Yurong agrees, confident that her victory will put an end to their public displays. Xiaoshen accepts the challenge for them, much to Lin Gujing's panicked dismay. She then adds her own terms: if Lin Gujing wins, Yurong must obey his every command. The thought of unconditional obedience suddenly makes Yurong very, very flustered. Xiaoshen, however, is enjoying every second of the escalating drama. Even Yurong's own spirit beast seems to be egging her on. She declares she won't lose, confident in her superior cultivation level. With her mind made up, she officially accepts the high-stakes duel. She warns him that the duel requires teamwork and offers a final chance to surrender. Lin Gujing tries to reason with her, insisting there's no need to fight. But her patience has run out. For her, it's far too late for words. She unleashes a powerful wind technique, sending a vortex of energy right at him. Xiaoshen watches calmly, impressed by the young cultivator's control over wind magic. Lin Gujing tries to push Xiaoshen to safety, warning her his talisman won't hold. But Yurong is relentless, unleashing a concentrated blast of wind energy. The vortex of wind blades tears through the air, aimed directly at them. The attack connects in a massive explosion, and Yurong celebrates her victory a little too early. But through the smoke, a massive demonic silhouette begins to take shape. Her triumphant smirk instantly vanishes, replaced by utter disbelief. Xiaoshen stands over a protected Lin Gujing, announcing that her turn has come. Her eyes glow with ancient power, her playful demeanor completely gone. A wave of pure instinctual terror washes over Yurong and her spirit beast. Xiaoshen reveals a glimpse of her true form, a colossal demon of unimaginable power. With the intimidation over, Xiaoshen's playful, dangerous smile returns. But the attack isn't physical. It's a deep dive into Yurong's own mind. With a snap of her fingers, the ancient demoness casts a powerful charm. Yurong is instantly overwhelmed by a vision of her most secret desires. Both she and her spirit beast are completely lost in the blissful illusion. The mental assault is too much, and she faints dead away. The duel ends not with a bang, but with a very gentle thud. Lin Gujing looks down, genuinely concerned for his unconscious rival. Xiaoshen casually reassures him she's fine, just enjoying the dream a little. But as Yurong's eyes flutter open, the blissful dream gives way to reality. Yurong awakens in a state of pure embarrassment, wondering how she could have dozed off. She looks up to find Lin Gujing kneeling before her, his expression unreadable. Mortified, she admits her defeat and agrees to any command he gives. She presses him for his decision, her mind clearly racing with possibilities. From the sidelines, Xiaoshen encourages her master to take full advantage of the situation. Lin Gujing takes Yurong's hands, his mind finally made up. As he begins to speak, she promises to honor her word, no matter the request. His one demand is simple, yet completely unexpected: for her to get along with Xiaoshen. The request is met with a synchronized outburst of pure, unadulterated shock from both women. Yurong can't believe it, but Lin Gujing calmly reminds her that the duel's conditions are absolute. Lin Gujing turns to his powerful spirit, seeking her approval for his command. Xiaoshen offers a sly, non-committal response, clearly amused by the situation. She extends a hand to Yurong, a dangerous smile playing on her lips. Yurong stares at the offered hand, completely at a loss for words. With no other choice, she reluctantly accepts the forced truce. The handshake is anything but friendly, as a silent war is waged between them. But Lin Gujing cheerfully declares the problem solved, completely missing the tension. Even Yurong's spirit beast knows this is far, far from over. With the day's drama finally behind them, they return to the dorms. Lin Gujing collapses onto his bed, utterly exhausted by his first day of diplomacy. His brief moment of peace is shattered as he finally succumbs to exhaustion. But his rest is cut short by a sudden unwelcome visitor. Xiaoshen pins him down as he desperately tries to explain the situation with Yurong. She silences him, claiming she's tired too and just wants to rest. She then points out his weakness, questioning how he'll ever protect her. Lin Gujing's resolve hardens, promising he will become strong enough. But Xiaoshen scoffs at the academy's methods. offering to train him herself. First, however, she needs to replenish the energy she spent in the duel. His pained cries echo through the night, leaving little to the imagination. But it seems the only thing being devoured tonight is his blood. Lin Gujing cautiously asks if her offer to teach him cultivation was genuine. He admits his own doubts, having been called talentless waste his entire life. But she scoffs, explaining his rare spiritual root was simply dormant due to weak meridians. In fact, his spiritual energy was so pure it would have destroyed any lesser beast. For a noble creature like her, however, his blood is the perfect nourishment. She traces a finger along his neck, asking if he's noticed the changes already. She reminds him of the test, where the bell registered a higher cultivation level for him. He recalls the moment the artifact confirmed his sudden leap in power. Their pact, she explains, is a two-way street, not just a personal blood bank for her. Her own spiritual energy is now nourishing him, making him stronger for both their sakes. She calls this dual cultivation, a perfect, mutually beneficial arrangement. But Lin Gujing is clearly not ready for this level of partnership. She has no patience for his hesitation, dragging him into his first lesson. And so begins Lin Gujing's very first night of special training. The training, however, is not quite what he was expecting. It turns out her idea of cultivation is just a brutal physical workout. She reminds him that there's no need to rush the process. His body is too weak to handle her power directly. It would turn him to dust. She laments that after 3,000 years, mortals have become disappointingly fragile. But Lin Gujing is already at his absolute limit, his strength failing him. He loses his grip, sending the ancient demoness tumbling with a very undignified shriek. She lands right on top of him, scolding him for his pathetic endurance. Later that night, Lin Gujing lies in bed, exhausted but resolute in his new goal. He drifts off to sleep, his dream of becoming a golden immortal echoing in his mind. But as he sleeps, Xiaoshen watches him with a strangely contemplative gaze. His words trigger a memory from a time long, long ago. A memory of another man who spoke of a world where all beings could coexist and cultivate. A blindfolded master who shared the very same dream to prove anyone could become a golden immortal. Back in the present, she looks down at the boy who unknowingly echoes her past. And in a moment of quiet reflection, she gives him a gift of her own power. A small gift of power, a gesture that deepens their strange new bond. The next morning, the academy bell signals the start of a new day. But along the path to class, an old enemy lies in wait. Jin Shin instructs his spectral rhino to prepare for an ambush. He seethes with jealousy, admitting Lin Gujing's luck in finding such a rare beast. But he scoffs at the idea, convinced the beast is useless with a weak master. His plan is simple. Force Lin Gujing to release the contract and steal the fox demon for himself. Meanwhile, the target of his scheme walks along, completely unaware. In fact, Lin Gujing feels better than ever, thanking Xiaoshen for her training. He watches her, noticing a carefree air she didn't have before. He recalls seeing her crying in her sleep, a hint of a hidden sorrow. The memory weighs on him as he walks, a newfound concern in his voice. She turns, her expression unreadable, questioning his sudden change in mood. But their walk is interrupted by a conveniently berserk guardian beast. Jinshin's spectral rhino charges forward, its eyes glowing with manufactured rage. Xiaoshen, however, looks about as threatened as a mountain by a pebble. But Lin Gujing reacts instantly, shoving her aside to take the brunt of the attack. The massive beast thunders toward him, its horn aimed to kill. He screams a desperate warning, fully believing they're in mortal danger. But Xiaoshen calmly stops him, a smirk revealing she's not worried in the slightest. The spectral rhino bears down on her, its eyes glowing with a sinister green energy. But Xiaoshen simply scoffs, remarking that undisciplined pets need a firm hand. With a single flick of her finger, she sends the massive beast flying into the horizon. She turns back to Lin Gujing with a smug grin, telling him it was no big deal. Lin Gujing is left completely stunned, his mind struggling to comprehend her immense power. Later, the students gather for their next lesson with Formation Master Shang Feng. During the lecture, Xiaoshen leans in close, whispering a warning to her master. Lin Gujing quietly scolds her for the ostentatious display of power back on the path. She reminds him that if she hadn't intervened, he would have been a red smear on the cobblestones. Unable to argue, Lin Gujing can only blush, completely flustered by her logic and proximity. Her distracting presence, however, is making it hard for anyone to focus. He quietly begs her to tone it down, trying to avoid any more unwanted attention. Xiaoshen agrees with a smirk, promising to behave from now on. A promise that lasts all of 2 seconds before she leans in again. The rest of the class, however, is not handling the situation with nearly as much composure. Lin Gujing realizes that with her around, a low profile is officially a thing of the past. The instructor, Shang Feng, asks for a volunteer to demonstrate a wind formation. And to Lin Gujing's horror, the teacher calls him out by name. He's completely caught off guard, having hoped to just blend into the background. As he looks for an out, Yurong watches from afar, her expression unreadable. Xiaoshen offers some last-minute encouragement, though Lin Gujing looks less than convinced. The instructor hands him a pouch of materials, telling him to just follow the demonstration. He reluctantly accepts the pouch, his fate now in his own hands. He admits he was too distracted to pay attention, but hopes his prior studies will be enough. He begins drawing the formation circle, recalling the basic steps from his books. He closes his eyes and recites the incantation, focusing his will on the runes. With a final command, he slams his hand down, attempting to activate the formation. But nothing happens, a painful reminder that he still can't properly wield spiritual energy. From the crowd, Jinshin's followers waste no time mocking his public failure. But it seems his new fan club president is having none of their slander. But just as he gives up, the formation erupts in a massive vortex of wind energy. The instructor, Shang Feng, can only stare in utter disbelief. The spell spirals out of control, blasting the teacher across the room. But Shang Feng is surprisingly impressed, praising Lin Gujing for his raw talent. From the sidelines, Xiaoshen's smirk reveals she might have given him a little boost. Later, as they walk through the academy, their brief moment of peace is interrupted. Yurong runs up to them, her expression a mixture of anger and concern. She reveals that word of their little scuffle with Jinshin has already spread. Lin Gujing quickly tries to explain, insisting Xiaoshen was only protecting him. But Zhou Yichen chimes in from nearby, happy to add fuel to the fire. Zhou Yichen explains that for a weakling like Lin Gujing, an ancient beast is a curse. He then makes a bold offer to buy Xiaoshen, promising her his family's protection. Lin Gujing furiously rejects the proposition, while Xiaoshen seems to enjoy the attention. But their squabble is interrupted by the arrival of Jinshin's much bigger backup. The bully points out his target to his older cousin, an inner disciple named Jin Lei. Jinshin complains that his own spirit beast is still paralyzed from Xiaoshen's attack, and it seems Jin Lei's guardian spirit is a significant upgrade in the intimidation department. Even the ever-confident Zhou Yichen is shocked by the sheer size of the new beast. Jin Lei introduces himself as a Foundation establishment cultivator and demands compensation. The others realize Lin Gujing is hopelessly outmatched against a cultivator of that level. Lin Gujing steps up, accusing Jinshin of playing the victim after his own beast attacked. But Xiaoshen cuts in, mocking the entire Jin family for their arrogance. Her words strike a nerve, and Jin Lei's face contorts with rage. She happily repeats the insult, calling him worthless without his powerful companion. Pushed past his limit, the inner disciple lunges forward to attack. But a hand stops him mid-charge. It's the ever-opportunistic Zhou Yichen. He turns to Xiaoshen, offering her a place at his side instead of with a waist. Xiaoshen just scoffs, unimpressed by the sales pitch from the boy with the cat. His charming facade cracks, and he warns her that her words have consequences. With the negotiations failed, Jin Lei unleashes his full power, ready to make her pay. Even Zhou Yichen panics, realizing the Thunder Rhino is far beyond their level. But Yurong steps up, threatening to report the bully for breaking academy rules. Jin Lei just smirks, offering them one last chance to apologize for their insolence. His terms are simple: kneel, beg, and hand over the fox demon to spare his life. But Lin Gujing furiously refuses, vowing to protect Xiaoshen no matter the cost. His defiance is met with a simple, chilling command from the inner disciple: die. The massive Thunder Rhino charges, its eyes burning with destructive intent. Xiaoshen clings to Lin Gujing, playing the part of a damsel in distress once again. She whispers in his ear, telling him to use the formation he learned in class. With a gentle push, she urges him forward, confident in his hidden potential. Lin Gujing stands his ground, gathering his spiritual energy for a counterattack. The Thunder Rhino barrels forward, its horn crackling with destructive power. With Xiaoshen's guidance, he weaves the signs for a powerful ice formation. A blizzard of razor-sharp ice erupts from the ground, engulfing the charging beast. The spell's radius is so large it even catches Jin Lei in its icy grip. His younger cousin can only watch in horror as his backup gets frozen solid. The massive Thunder Rhino is stopped dead in its tracks, encased in a tomb of ice. Lin Gujing stares in disbelief, stunned by the power he just unleashed. Xiaoshen praises him, noting his cultivation has clearly reached a new level. From the sidelines, Yurong looks on, ready to see the bullies get what they deserve. Jin Xin threatens Lin Gujing with the dean's punishment for daring to injure his cousin. But Jin Lei tells him to forget it, refusing to let his cousin escalate the situation. He repeats the command with force, his pride completely shattered by the defeat. The inner disciple admits he lost because he wasn't skilled enough and offers an apology. With a bow, the once arrogant cultivator formally surrenders to his opponent. Yurong accepts his apology, hoping he's learned a valuable lesson about picking on others. But his younger cousin glares from the side, vowing that this is far from over. Later, Zhou Yichen celebrates the day's events, praising Lin Gujing's incredible victory. He declares Lin Gujing his new brother, offering his name as protection from any future bullies. Across the table, Xiaoshen sips her tea, enjoying the chaos her new master is causing. But Yurong is here to lecture, warning him not to let his newfound power make him arrogant. She then turns her fury on Xiaoshen, blaming her for dragging Lin Gujing into danger. The ancient demoness just gives her a look of pure, unadulterated indifference. But Yurong's attention shifts as she realizes the room only has a single bed. She erupts, lecturing them on propriety and the scandal of their living situation. Her solution is simple. March to the dean's office and demand a new room immediately. Lin Gujing tries to de-escalate, offering to sleep on the floor himself. After a brief debate, Zhou Yichen offers his own spare room, ever the helpful third wheel. Lin Gujing decides the conversation is over, trying to push a reluctant Yurong out the door. With a final shove, he sends her tumbling out, ending the night's drama for now. Lin Gujing lets out a sigh of relief, finally getting a moment of peace. As Xiaoshen stretches, he asks if she was the one who cast the powerful ice spell. But she denies it, insisting that the incredible power came from him alone. He struggles to believe it, but she suggests he's far more powerful than he knows. She explains she only helped expand his meridians to unleash his true potential. The choice of the ice blizzard, she says, was entirely his own decision. She encourages him to believe in himself, as the merit for the victory is his. Her tone then turns somber, lamenting the world's lack of spiritual energy. She wonders how demons fell from thriving races to mere pets for mortals. Lin Gujing can only listen, a silent witness to her 3,000-year-old sorrow. Her sorrow sparks an idea, a way for him to understand her past. He explains that history might hold the answers she's long forgotten. He pulls out an ancient text, the Chronicles of the Demon God. He begins to read, recounting a tale of a great calamity from her era. The text describes a devastating war between demons and humans, aided by celestials. The story claims the celestials punished the demons by enslaving them to mortals. A brutal vision shows the demons being violently stripped of their power. She erupts in fury, rejecting the chronicle as nothing but lies. She grabs Lin Gujing by the collar, accusing him of fabricating the tale. But her rage shatters into sorrow, insisting the truth is far different. He gently comforts her, apologizing for bringing up such a painful past. The next morning, the academy bell rings, signaling the start of a new day. Lin Gujing complains about his neck, while Xiaoshen looks smugly satisfied. But their morning is interrupted by an instructor with an urgent summons. The teacher informs him that the academy's dean wants to see him immediately. Lin Gujing panics, instantly assuming Yurong followed through on her threats. He's brought before the dean, who explains a new competition for the rank of chief disciple. Among the candidates is a stoic inner disciple named Zhou Mengmeng. Xiaoshen sizes up the competition with a critical, appreciative eye. She teases him about the opportunity, another step toward his grand dream. The dean lays out the terms, retrieve the immortal spirit stone from a secret realm. The chosen disciples formally accept the challenge, while Xiaoshen just chills. But another challenger appears, boasting that his Pixiu can sniff out any treasure. It's Zhou Yichen, who has decided to crash the party and join the competition. He declares that if his sister can compete, so can the eldest son of the Zhou family. His sister dryly reminds him he was excluded for failing his classes, a detail he happily ignores. Yurong reluctantly agrees to let him tag along, warning him not to be a nuisance. He tries to charm her but quickly decides his ambition outweighs his flirting. With a quick apology, he dashes off, determined to get a head start on the others. His sister can only sigh, explaining that her brother is more of an idiot than a villain. Yurong explains to Mengmeng that she's long since grown used to her brother's antics, a sentiment that is immediately followed by a scream of pure frustration. The group enters the secret realm, a forest teeming with plant-type demon beasts, and it seems Zhou Yichen's head start has led him straight into a hungry one. Yurong immediately draws her sword, ready to leap into the fray. But Zhou Mengmeng calmly tells the others to proceed without her. Yurong can only sigh, calling her friend a worrier for going after her idiot brother. Meng Meng's rescue attempt, however, seems to involve hitting everyone involved. Meanwhile, Lin Gujing's group has finally reached their destination. He explains that deep within this cave lies their prize, the immortal spirit stone. Yurong senses a powerful energy fluctuation, questioning if the stone is truly here. Lin Gujing playfully teases her, but Xiaoshen cuts in, eager to get moving. With their uneasy alliance, the trio ventures into the darkness of the cave. But as they step inside, something strange lands on Yurong's nose. She looks up to find the darkness is alive with hundreds of glowing red eyes. Her composure shatters as she lets out a terrified scream. Lin Gujing pulls her to the ground, explaining they've just disturbed a nest of bats. Xiaoshen, of course, remains completely unfazed by the winged swarm. The creatures pour out of the cave mouth, fleeing back into the light. He reassures a shaken Yurong that the danger has passed for now. Xiaoshen calmly explains they were lucky not to wake the cave's real guardian. The news does little to calm Yurong's already frayed nerves. Peeking from cover, they finally lay eyes on their objective. The immortal spirit stone glows brightly, chained to a pillar and a massive sleeping demon wolf. Lin Gujing recognizes the beast as a huodu, a legendary fire-breathing creature. Yurong notes their prize is right there, but getting it means waking the monster. The trio sits in silence, contemplating how to solve their furry, fire-breathing problem. Yurong suddenly volunteers a plan. She'll just sneak past it while it's sleeping. Lin Gujing questions her strategy, asking if she has some kind of invisibility skill. She reveals a hidden talisman, explaining she has a few tricks of her own. She declares that this time, they are competitors for the title of chief disciple. Yurong channels her spiritual energy into the amulet, preparing to activate its power. With a final incantation, she unleashes the power of the invisibility amulet. And just like that, her body vanishes, leaving behind a floating set of clothes. Lin Gujing calmly points out the rather significant flaw in her plan. Yurong is instantly mortified, realizing the only way to be truly invisible is to get naked. Lin Gujing tries to de-escalate the situation, offering to find another way. But her pride and fierce rivalry with Xiaoshen won't let her back down. She decides to go through with it, reasoning that he can't see her anyway. With a deep breath, she prepares to commit to her very awkward strategy. She lets her robes fall, committing to the most awkward stealth mission ever. Now fully invisible, she asks if her new uniform is up to code. Lin Gujing points out her floating hair clips, but she's already on the move. The invisible girl begins her slow, nerve-wracking approach to the sleeping beast. The massive huodu stirs in its sleep, its breath like a furnace. Yurong freezes, realizing invisibility doesn't stop her from feeling the intense heat. From the sidelines, Xiaoshen reminds Lin Gujing that this is still a competition. His expression hardens. He knows he can't just let her take the prize. He asks Xiaoshen if he can unleash the same ice blizzard from their last fight, but she calmly denies his request, leaving him to wonder why his power failed. Xiaoshen explains that yesterday's power boost was a one-time trick. She offers to transfer more energy, but her method seems highly personal. Meanwhile, Yurong's stealth mission is already heating up, quite literally. She realizes the scorching ground is the least of her worries if the beast wakes up. But the huodu stirs, its powerful senses detecting an intruder in its lair. A hot breath washes over her, confirming the beast knows she's there. Her invisibility fails to fool its sense of smell. She's been completely found out. The Guardian's eyes snap open, glowing with a furious crimson light. It unleashes a deafening roar, shaking the very foundations of the cave. Yurong can only stare in horror, her brilliant plan having officially backfired. But just as the beast lunges, Lin Gujing unleashes a familiar power. A torrent of ice magic erupts, encasing the massive huodu in a frozen prison. He holds the spell with every ounce of his will, his focus absolute. Yurong can only stare as the monster is stopped dead in its tracks. Lin Gujing yells for her to get to safety while she has the chance. Mortified and still very much invisible, she scrambles to obey. But the ice begins to crack, unable to contain the beast's fiery rage. With a furious roar, the huodu shatters its icy tomb in an explosive blast. The shards of ice rain down, catching Yurong directly in the crossfire. Seeing her in danger, Lin Gujing calls out, taunting the beast to draw its attention. The huodu turns its fiery gaze on Lin Gujing, its challenge accepted. He nervously asks Xiaoshen if the beast's chains will hold it back. She reminds him that chains won't stop a blast of incinerating fire. With his options dwindling, Lin Gujing decides to bet it all on a risky gambit. The beast unleashes a torrent of pure flame, ready to turn him to ash. But Lin Gujing meets the attack head-on, unleashing his own ice blizzard curse. Fire and ice collide in a spectacular explosion, a battle of raw elemental power. As the spell holds, he yells for Xiaoshen, signaling that her moment has come. The ancient demoness answers the call, weaving a powerful enchantment of her own. She unleashes her charm because brute force is so last millennium. Her attack is less demonic fury and more weaponized Valentine's Day. The projectiles connect in a massive explosion of pure, unadulterated affection. The blast wave washes over the cave, catching an invisible Yurong in its path. The once fearsome guardian is now a lovesick puppy, lost in a blissful dream. Lin Gujing can only stare in awe, praising Xiaoshen for her incredible power. She casually dismisses his praise, saying the little dog will sleep long enough for them to act. But Lin Gujing's expression shifts from awe to sudden, profound awkwardness. His gaze falls on Yurong, whose invisibility has just worn off at the worst possible moment. She thanks him for the rescue, formally conceding the competition to him. But Lin Gujing is completely flustered, his attention clearly not on the stone she's offering. Xiaoshen covers his eyes, offering her own very professional assessment of the view. Yurong's face burns with a blush that could probably melt steel. But her mortification quickly boils over into pure, unadulterated rage. She unleashes a furious punch, sending the immortal spirit stone flying. But as the prize lands, a clawed hand snatches it from the darkness. A demon bat makes off with their objective, leaving Yurong to panic. The creature flees down a long tunnel, heading back toward the cave's entrance. Outside, Zhou Yichen is startled by something rocketing out of the darkness. The bat collides with his face, a brutal end to his treasure-hunting career. The stone lands perfectly in the hands of his sister, Zhou Mengmeng. She stares at the prize, the immortal spirit stone now resting in her hands. Later, a new face congratulates her, giving all the credit to her useless cousin. He then spins a wild tale of his own heroism, claiming he defeated the beast himself. But no one is listening, as the group is far more interested in flower cakes. Elsewhere, a crowd of students gathers, their attention drawn to the sky. One of them points upward, spotting a member of the renowned Kungxian faction. Whispers spread about their leader, who commands a divine-level golden crow. A purple-haired woman descends on the fiery beast, a truly magnificent entrance. The students are instantly captivated, though one claims he's just admiring the bird. But from the sidelines, another woman scoffs, unimpressed by the flashy display. Zhou Yichen teases Yurong about her jealousy, offering to pull some strings for her. But Lin Gujing is completely lost, asking what this new faction is all about. He's told it's a student-led sect with backing from a major continental power. A helpful chart explains the entire cultivation career path, from outer disciple to instructor. These student factions are essentially recruiting grounds for larger sects, wielding immense influence. Yurong scoffs, reminding them their recent bully Jin Lei is one of these show-offs. Xiaoshen, however, thinks Lin Gujing should join, dismissing Jin Lei as unimpressive. Our boy humbly deflects the praise, insisting he has a long way to go. But Xiaoshen isn't taking no for an answer, assuring him of his own potential. Yurong's patience finally snaps, but it's over Xiaoshen feeding him leftover food. The argument over food escalates as Lin Gujing flees from a furious Yurong. Their chase continues across the academy grounds, a blur of motion and frustration. But his escape is cut short as he collides with an unsuspecting student. The man he hit is none other than Jin Lei, now being berated by his faction leader. He scrambles to his feet, making excuses for his humiliating defeat. But the faction leader is unimpressed, questioning how he even got accepted. Her words strike a nerve, and Jin Lei's pride boils over into rage. He boasts of his past achievements, trying to defend his wounded ego. He then dramatically quits the faction, dismissing it as a mere plaything, a decision he immediately regrets as she snaps his finger without a second thought. She corrects his little outburst, clarifying that he didn't quit. He was expelled. With a hand on his collar, she warns him that her influence extends far beyond the academy. Her patience runs out, and she sends him flying with a powerful kick. The once arrogant bully is sent tumbling through the air like a discarded toy. He can only watch from the dirt as she stands tall with her loyal followers. She then orders her faction to scout the new disciples for any hidden talent. And one name in particular has caught her attention: the boy who defeated Jin Lei.